my life threatened. Seriously, she was very seriously interrogated.
From the 5 suspects, some of them had contacted each other.
What has happened to me, I've had my life threatened. I have my family threatened, not once but multiple times, and I feel like the law is not coming into place to protect and make me feel that, you know what, it is within my right to have protection, not only for myself but also for my family.
Can you tell us of her reaction in terms of hearing those allegations coming out that she subsequently killed the father of her child?
At first, when I did not want to call her, she was on set at the moment. I sent her a text, I sent her the clip, and I just requested her to just breathe, okay? When we had spoken, her reaction was, I'm a mother. My child was 3 months old at the time. How dare he? What do they want from me? Because it started, and this is where I gave you the background of the intimidation. We must hand her over to the police, etc. And she then said to me, we are going to now break the silence. So this is where we are at. She's confident. Look, Kelly, you know she's a person of high spirit. You don't get to that level without character development and building. I don't need to describe her to you.
And at this point, has the state then indicated that we will be calling her as a witness as well as the others in the house?
The state, in first instance, when we were called in for consultation, we were then later, just a few hours or a day before, told there's no need to interview her further. Remember, we've been through serious interrogations in the past with ballistics, with forensics, and she described the events of the incident clearly, even though she was very seriously interrogated. We were then told, no, there's no need for her to come in, and we then conceded, that's fine, as long as it is in writing. We received that confirmation in writing from Advocate Baloy. We are going to file submission in terms of clarification with regard to her being, because the thing that we've been saying very clearly and very consistently, and this is what she said to me yesterday as well, I want my day in court.
So she wants to testify. She wants to be a
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
She doesn't care what level she goes in. She wants her day in court.
From the 5 suspects, some of them had contacted each other prior to the killing of Senzo Meyiwa in October 2014.
Certainly, Pradan, and I think this is crucial evidence as far as this case is concerned. Of course, it also just, thickens the plot as far as what really happened when Senzo Meyiwa was killed. But I think crucial to the evidence that we heard today is the links between the suspects that have been arrested there before court, the 5 accused that are charged with the murder of Senzo Khumalo. But I just want to bring in what happened yesterday, Pradan, before we go to that. Yesterday we heard, of course, the links between Kelly Khumalo and one of these suspects, Fisoguhle Ntuli. We were told that there were 2 conversations or calls that had happened in August, as well as on the 15th of October, just days before Senzo Meyiwa was killed. And of course, that today we got to learn that, in fact, Fisoguhle Ntuli also had contact with accused number 3, Mthobisi Mncube. He also had contact with accused number 1, as well as accused number 2. So the only suspect, seemingly, that he didn't have contact with is accused number 4 in this particular matter. And it seems that there were regular calls between them, which suggests that they either knew each other or that, they had known each other for quite some time.
This is all around the time before October,
this is all around the time, Praten, we understand before this all unfolded in Vosloorus when Senzo Meyiwa was killed. So this is very important as far as this case, because you recall that earlier on, AfriForum had said that they believe that the right suspects are arrested as far as this is concerned.
AfriForum, let's just remind our viewers, still representing the Meyiwa family.
Of Senzo Meyiwa. Even the family themselves, Praten, saying that they also believe, they were told, in fact, they told me last year that they were told by the police minister that they have the right suspects and that there is a mastermind who has not been arrested. So it raises quite a lot of questions about the possible motive as far as this is concerned. But perhaps let's take a listen, Praten, to what Stein had to reveal about the linkages between these suspects.
The next number, I retrieved from the download of suspect number 3. The number was saved on his phone as Mufukani Kumalo. It's another number of suspect number 5 with the number 27791 490 821. Then I move down straight underneath that number of suspect number 5 also got contact with suspect number 2, Bongani Sandiso Ntanzi, with the number 27609 016 890. Then the same number, the one there on top, I move to this number down here now. The suspect number 5 also got contact with suspect number 1, Setembe Sabia alias Musi, with cell phone number 2779 379 0137.
You know, just listening to what you are reporting now, Mangoba, and listening to this bite of Stein, he may yet prove to be one of those crucial evidence providers in this case. But he also spoke about Senzo Meyiwa's phone SIM card. Tell us about that.
Well, Praten, before I get to that, in fact, I think I'm reminded of, one of the revelations as far as this is concerned from accused number 3's phone that was found. One of the numbers which belongs to accused number 5, Fiso Ntuli, was written, in fact, as Mfoga Kumalo. Which has many connotations as far as this case is concerned, but I guess this is crucial information that shows that there was indeed a link between these suspects and that they communicated at some point or the other as far as this case is concerned. So when we get to the issue of Senzo Meyiwa's phones, of course, there's also questions about what happened to Senzo Meyiwa's phone. You recall that Zandile Kumalo had said to court that Senzo Meyiwa's phone was in fact in the house when they came back from the hospital. It was under a stove. I think she said this is where police had then recovered it. But what Stein's evidence show and the data from the cell phone shows is that in fact that phone pinged round about 10 o'clock, which is about 2 hours after Senzo Meyiwa was shot. According to the evidence that we heard, it pinged at the hospital where Senzo Meyiwa had been taken, which suggests that then the phone had then been perhaps placed there at a later stage. But that's not the only shocker, Praten. There's also the issue of the SIM swap, which we understand happened the very next day after Senzo Meyiwa was killed. And we understand that that particular SIM card has been linked to a device that was owned by a former soccer player, David Matebula. And we understand that there were 8 calls that were made between Kelly Kumalo and David Matebula on the 27th of October. And those calls were not answered. It's not clear who made a call to who, but there were 8 calls, forwarded calls, as Staines puts it, that were made throughout this phone, which suggests that then it might have been a hand phone or a phone belonging to David Matebula, that this SIM card, the new SIM card, had then been used or inserted to make those particular calls. But perhaps let's stay and explain this a bit further.
We move to the next one. Here we got the handset number now. Handset number is 35701 804 021687.
22.
That's the number of the handset. This handset and the number receive a call from cell phone number 27872 300 401. Also on the 27th of October 2014 at 16:21:50. And just to point out to the court, my lord, it's the same SIM card, the new one, with the numbers 65 501 257 0604203. Then we follow up on the handset number and then link to the number 2772149389, and it belongs to David Matubula, and there was 8 calls between David Matubula and Kelly Kumalo.
Sorry, Colonel, can you just tell the court, how did you establish that it was a call between Kelly Kumalo
Yes.
and David Matebula?
If I go to the section 205, then I could identify
Okay.
Yes.
that there was, the 8 calls was between that number and that number from Kelly Kumalo. But the phone was still off, all the calls was being called forwards. But my opinion is, it could be that it's an old phone of David Makubala that they just used to put in the new SIM card.
Now, Mangoba, one of the suspects has been described before, even by other witnesses, as somebody who had dreadlocks, including the neighbor, Miss Mukete, said one of the people was running away that she saw at that night had dreadlocks, okay? How has it been linked to dreadlocks and the suspect?
Well, it's interesting, Pradan, because, one of the things that Steyn had done is that he had studied one of the accused's phone and looked into the pictures that this particular accused had taken. So this was accused 3, who was arrested in Devlin, we understand, in 2017. And after his arrest, his phone was confiscated. And then he went through the photos in his phone. And some of those photos show Thobisi Mncube on the day, in fact, a day before Senzo Meyiwa was shot. And in those photos, I think it's about 2 or 3 photos, he can clearly be seen on those photos with dreadlocks that, are over and way over the shoulder length.
Quite long dreadlocks.
Quite long dreadlocks. And I think at one point, those dreadlocks are tied in one of the pictures, which seemingly suggested that at the time of this incident, Thobisi Mncube did have dreadlocks. And it raises questions, of course, as to whether he was, the alleged intruder that was in the house that had dreadlocks. You recall the testimony that that intruder was the one that carried the firearm and ultimately fired the shot that might have killed Senzo Meyiwa. So there are still questions about whether it is Thobisi Mncube, but what it seems to suggest is that it possibly might be him. But perhaps let's take a listen to that evidence about his dreadlocks.
This photo, you can see the dreadlocks is behind his head. It's a sort of a photo.
No, just repeat it. I can hear you. Other people must hear you also.
On this photo, the dreadlocks is been together like a pony stack.
Now, when you say the dreadlocks, I hear you, but whose dreadlocks are we talking about on that photo?
Suspect number 5, suspect number 3.
Suspect number 3. Okay, fine. Dreadlocks of suspect number 3.
That's good.